Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be the April 2nd, 2014 City Council regular meeting.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order a regular City Council meeting of the City of Satellite Beach, April 2nd, 2014, approximately 7 p.m. Will you please join Councilwoman Deaning for a moment of silence and the pledge?
Moment of silence, please. Amen. And the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda change here, and I'll announce it at this time. Agenda item number 8, the lease purchase agreement on the fire truck will be postponed till the April 16th meeting. So number 8 is postponed. Moving on, item number 3, citizens' comments for non-agenda items. The floor is open. Hearing none, close citizens' comments. Moving on to city council comments. Who would like to start?
I just would like to ask Ms. Deanan when we could expect to get the anonymous letter that was sent to JLAC that you referenced in your email.
Actually, I was looking for the anonymous letter today, and I went back and looked at the minutes, and I'm not sure what anonymous letter you're specifically talking about. So if you want to be specific, that's fine. There is a letter to Senator Abruzzo that was anonymous. Perhaps that's the letter you're requesting. But unless you're more specific by going through the minutes and per your request at the last meeting, I don't really know what anonymous letter you're talking about.
Well, I think I can help you out.
Good, thank you.
You might want to jot this down.
On June
9th, I have the floor, please.
She'll say it, and we'll send it to you in email.
Send it to me, yeah, please.
All right, that's fine. You're the floor.
On June 19th, 2013, you sent a letter, an email rather, to Greg Billman, the Big Effer, and in that email you said, attached is an anonymous letter that went to them on the 17th, referring to JLAC. So if you will pull up that June 19th, 2013 email, you will find that letter attached.
Okay, and I'm going to state again for the record that the letter was to Senator Abruzzo, and I would be happy to supply that, and it was
I
an
don't care
anonymous
who
letter.
it is to, this
Okay.
council needs to see it.
That's fine. I will get it.
Any further comments? Vice Mayor Gott, any further comments? Okay. Who else would like to?
I just want to say that on March 20th, I had my town hall meeting, and I just want to thank all the people that came to it. It was a pretty good meeting. There were probably about 25 people there, and in all the years that I've been on council, it was my first ever town hall meeting, so it was a new experience for me, but it was enlightening. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I had the opportunity to have dinner with Dana Blickley and her husband, and a lot of things going on at the property appraiser's office, and I would really like to see her invited in at one of our meetings to give an update on what's going on at the property appraiser's office. The second thing is, I noticed that the board issue is not on the agenda. This is probably the second or third time I've requested that this be on the agenda regarding the board and the attendance requirement. So if there's some kind of formal request I need to fill out to get something on the agenda, I'll be happy to do that. But,
To help you there, just not to interrupt you, but agenda item 12, which has to do with the boards, the item isn't listed there for tonight.
okay.
It's a board committee attendance issue, and it's right there.
Okay.
I checked on it too because I missed it the first time.
I would also like to get an update on the status of the land use change for the Allison property. I know it was rezoned, but what is the status with the future land use map change? The
We
commercial?
did that at the same time.
So the state has approved the land use change?
We can bring back the letters to you if you'd like.
Okay.
or forward it to
I
you.
just didn't know whether or not it was approved or at what time it was approved.
Right, the land use change was done at the same time as the zoning. Usually that's done at the
So
same
the
time.
official change has been made to the land use map?
Yes.
Okay. And that's it?
Thank you.
Only thing I'd like to say, Mr. Mayor, is just to Courtney, nice job on everybody pulling together Big Truck Day. It looked like that turned out really well. I drove through there, and it was as busy as usual, and thank you for what you guys do putting all that together. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I also attended Big Truck Day and Civ Mill, which were both two great functions. And I know when Chief retires, he'll have another job. Great hammer. Thank you. But it was a great event. It was very, very interesting. The kids love it, and a great turnout in our city. So, thank you. Any further?
Yeah, let me just say one thing. Bud Wade, who has been a wonderful city volunteer for many years, is very ill in the hospital right now, and I know that his family would appreciate prayers from anyone who is so inclined.
Thank you. Okay, any further council comments? Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 4, City Attorney's Report.
I have nothing.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item 6, City Manager's Report.
Before I get started on that, I just wanted to clarify, we want the property appraiser's office to come to do a presentation on their initiatives. Is that as an agenda item? Is that
Yes,
what we want?
please,
Okay.
yeah.
And then the other item is, at the last meeting, we had discussed where we wanted the board discussion, and you all had said, well, we have an item of appointment to boards, and that's why we put it there, so. We have, this weekend, the Superhero Tykes Olympics. It will be held on Saturday at the DRS Community Center. I know I'll be there, just like I was last weekend at the Community Center for Big Truck Day. That was a great event. It was very, very busy. I was there for 3 hours, largely talking to people because it was a lot of fun. And I probably saw most of my friends in Satellite Beach there with their children. And hats off to the Lions Club for their great cooking, because I think I had 3 burgers. And then also we have the Relay for Life coming up on this weekend, and that's going to be at the Satellite High School football stadium, so you'll see them out there again. You can stop by and give them some support. And the annual Powell Lions Club Pancake Breakfast will be held this Sunday at the Civic Center from 8 to 1. I already have my tickets. I like pancakes, so I'll be there really early. We also have on April 11th and 12th the tree and plant sale at the DRS Center parking lot. And we have Fish Earth Day, which will be at the Satellite Beach Library Ponds on April 12th as well. And that is basically instruction on casting, fishing techniques, habitat restoration, conservation, knot tying. And this is an event that is free for children between the ages of 6 and 16 years old. We will have a skateboard contest on April 12th, and we will have Project Graduation Casino Night, which is actually an adult event, and that's that will be at our community center from 8 to 12, and that's in the evening, and that's to support Satellite High School's Project Graduation. So if anybody says that there's nothing to do in Satellite Beach, if I ever hear that again, we have a lot of events going on, and our recreation department does a lot to make that happen. So,
What time is the Relay for Life?
the Relay for Life is pretty much all day, if I'm not mistaken.
Starting when?
Yeah, it starts April 5th.
What
and
time
it's-
does it start?
I think it starts in the morning, but it's 24 hours a day.
8?
Yeah, 8 in the morning, yeah. And the summer brochure, activity brochure is out. This is very popular because it's summer. And what's the best part about this is now you can use a credit card in paying for your activities, and you can also register online. So at your next meeting, we will be showing you a demonstration of that. It's very exciting. So I did pay with my credit card at my last payment to the rec center. It was a lot of fun not to have to run out of money and go to the ATM and come back. So we're very proud of that. We're also proud of receiving the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association for our budget. All of you remember this budget. We dedicated it to our employees, and we did receive the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. I'd like to thank the finance team for that award, as well as Councilwoman Gott for her helping us edit that. She spent a lot of hours helping us do that, and we appreciate that. We did get some recognition in the Florida Today as well as the Brevard Business News. I thought it was in the Hometown News. I haven't seen it yet, so look for that if you read the Hometown News. We did attach an article from the Brevard Business News. Most of the press releases we sent out look like that. I have submitted my annual evaluation forms to City Council's members by email, so please return them to us by April 21st, as my evaluation is due April 30th, and that'll be my anniversary date, if you can believe that it's almost been a year. I have received 2 thank you letters from residents that are grateful for our fire department staff and services, and those letters are included, so good job to our fire department as usual. And we are going to get a brief update from our fire chief. Is he here yet? Okay, good. And while he comes up here to give a brief update on you're going to give a brief update on your, come on. As he's walking up, I want to let everybody know that it is his birthday today.
How many likes do I have?
That's for getting more likes than I do right now, but I will catch up.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
Which update am I giving?
You're going to give up the Satellite Beach Fire and Paramedic Services mid-year report.
Oh, in your package there.
The one you came prepared for.
Yes.
No, I didn't come prepared with that, no. What you have available to you is I just put in, just like the police department does, a report. I went ahead and did it for October 1 to this current date, just giving around about 613 911 calls run between the first 2 quarters of this fiscal year. And you notice our amount of patient contacts we've had, both from in-station evaluations, public education, and just, again, with just the first quarter of the year was extraordinarily busy as far as citizen contact. Just a breakdown on the left-hand side of the column of the types of medical calls that we run here. Oftentimes you hear, well, nothing happens in Satellite Beach. No, that's not really true. A lot of things do happen. You just don't see it. And just looking at the severity of medical calls that we have. Just real quick on some initiatives that we're working on from the beginning of October up to this date. The full implementation of the Joint Service Agreement with Brevard County Fire Rescue on the ladder truck. That implementation has gone stellar. I could not have asked for a better transition. The crews are here. The interaction has just been a lot better than anybody ever thought would happen, and it just really is a testament to the professionalism of our men and women in both of Brevard County and Satellite Beach. Right now, we're currently working on a couple of things. As you know, the fire truck specification part, as we a few weeks ago, 2 of our staff members just got back from Louisiana doing the final, for lack of a better word, spec of the vehicle, and getting ready to move forward. We've got some paperwork to sign, but from the date of signature to delivery, looks like it's going to be between 90 and 110 days. So we should have delivery maybe around the end of July, and then it'll take us about 3 to 4 weeks of some prep work that we'll need to do before we put it in service. And that's pretty much it. I had made a mention not too long ago in our Think Levels of Service talking about Medicare and where we're going with our community paramedic program. We are in that process of being a Medicare-approved biller. It's a fairly simple process. There's just a couple steps that we have to take, and we're moving forward on that. On that particular front, there has been a lot of movement in Medicare and the state on community paramedicine. 5 years ago, if we mentioned community paramedicine in the public safety sector, they would look at you with cross eyes. Today, just last month, I attended a meeting in Daytona Beach, and it was over 150 agencies represented there on community paramedicine, and we were one of a few programs in the state that had actually dipped our toes into the water. They're exactly where we're at 5 years ago, and they're looking to see if they can do it. What is interesting is that the billability for this, the bill seems to be coming around, and I actually think that, though I may not hit it by May, I do think that we're going to be in a process that when we crank up our community paramedic program, there will be a sustainability piece to that, and that is actually what the goal was in the long run. And also, we have taken our initial steps for accreditation in my levels of services last May. I talked about accreditation for the fire service. It's a multi-year process, and we have gone through some of the first phase raises, and hopefully by October, what will be part of our budget message will be for us to make our application to agency, and that's just one of the steps that we need to take, but we've been doing a lot of groundwork in the last couple months, moving towards the accreditation piece. And then some noteworthy stuff, again, nothing happens here, I just want to give you one, and where Satellite Beach, Brevard County worked well together. 2-year-old trauma patient, closed head injury, was unresponsive when medics arrived, and from the time of that incident, that the 911 call came in, patient was treated, transported in the air, and arrived at Arnold Palmer Hospital to a physician from them was 50 minutes. And that is an incredible time frame to be able to accomplish that. And that was just great coordination between everybody involved. And so that's my report for our first half of the year.
Go ahead, you go. Just on your mid-year report, under traumatic injury, is that primarily falls, Don?
It is a mixture. Most of it is fall-related. Okay. That does break into other type of traumatic injuries, though. But yes, that a portion of it is falls.
Because you look at that number, 96 over 350, that's still a pretty high percentage.
Anecdotally, just me looking at it, I would say probably 50% of it's fall.
Is it preventable stuff still?
Yes, it's always preventable. One of the unique things that we've had that actually, when we're going back and looking at data and we saw an uptick, really where our uptick was at is that we had 4 or 5 people that were just having a lot of fall events. If we actually kind of just segmented them off, our numbers were relatively the same, but we had a few people that we were seeing on quite a few basis. But.
And follow up with that, I think your community paramedic program will help address some of that. I went to the DOH meeting 3 weeks ago over in Tampa. There's a lot of interest around the state, as you know, with kicking that program off. So, and a lot of people are kind of feeling their way on it.
And just to talk about our fall prevention program, Martin County Fire Rescue just adopted it. They're in the process of training 300 firefighters in their program alone. And I talked with the fire chief of Titusville, and he's in the process of implementing our program in Titusville also.
That's good. Okay. And as far as the Medicare goes, are you going through First Coast up in Jacksonville? Is that the fiscal intermediary you're applying
I have
to?
not gotten to that point yet. We're going through the online portion now, which is the register with CMS, and I had Ms. Barker sign some paperwork to move over, so we're in that very preliminary piece.
Okay.
But yes, that will eventually be one of our steps.
That's the CMS fiscal intermediary for Florida, and it covers stuff. Okay,
Yes.
that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, are those falls primarily seniors?
Yes. And predominantly, and I'm just doing this off the top without looking at the numbers, our real target as far as falls is that 85-year-old plus age cohort, which in our city, that number, that percentage of our population, that is an increasing number. That is, and those are the ones that have the most severe injuries from the fall. So.
Question? Is historically the first quarter your busiest? With the,
we're relatively consistent throughout the year.
Even though that quarter is the one that has more wintertime residents?
We don't really see that great of a fluctuation in our call volume.
It's interesting to note, I mean, one of the things that the DOH did, and Don's aware of this slide because you've seen it, I got it. It showed that each quarter was just about the same. There wasn't an uptick, but only slight, but not statistically significant on the baby boomers, not the baby boomers, the snowbirds, thank you, coming down here. It's still pretty equal all the way across, so it's kind of leveled off in that area.
When we break it down, and actually we find that March is the month that actually has the highest amount of falls, but it's also outside the house that they fall. It's spring. So.
You can hold on a second. Any other council questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Carrying on with the public safety reports, the police department is now going to give their report. Chief Pearson.
Good afternoon. I wanted to mention that the monthly report, and I say this before every quarterly report that I do, is posted on the website, and it's in your package, I believe, but you'll notice that it looks vastly different than it has in the past. The monthly report that we had to do in the past had to be completely constructed by staff, pulling information out, putting it together, characterizing it, typing it into it, I mean, really. And it obviously took time, and so it looks a lot different. what we have now is a full, complete, comprehensive report that includes the same information, if not more, but it's completely generated by the RMS system like this, and it doesn't miss a thing. There's no chance at anything. Reason I bring it up even is just because the way it looks, you'll see that all the months are there and they have all zeros in them. That's because that particular month that it was run for is what that's filled out. But the way it's set up, it just prints those. And so rather than going in and doing a lot of things to take the zeros out, I just wanted you to know that those months didn't have zero going on. The months that are reported, that are put on the website, are the month that we have populated. And certainly, if there's anything of any interest there, anyone at all can give us a call and get more information if they need. But generally, it's the same, if not a little bit more than what you have seen in the past. It's just in a different format. With that being said, I also come to you over the course of the quarter to add just a little bit of the personality and background to some of these calls that you see, because as I've mentioned before, you look at a printout on the computer, it's really difficult to really get any personality or any feel for really what happened. And it's some of the things that we deal with are sometimes tragic, sometimes very interesting, sometimes, quite honestly, hysterical. It depends. We had an officer, for example, was driving down the highway patrolling and saw a car pulled off the side of the road with the person slumped over. The car's running in gear just off of A1A. Obviously swings around to check the person out, passed out at the wheel, finally gets the person to wake up, tells him to turn the car off, pull the keys out before we get any farther here in this dealing. And the person cannot figure out why he can't get the key out. That's because he hadn't put it in gear yet. It was still in gear while he was passed out behind the wheel. And, of course, he was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. And it's just, as much as we do, as much education as there is, there's still people that get to that level that feel like it's, I guess it's okay to drive down the street. I don't know. We also responded to a residential burglary where somebody had gone into an open garage and had taken the car keys that were left in the residence, or in the car, in the garage, and stole the car and was out driving around and crashed the car in Satellite Beach. Prior to us getting there, they left the scene figuring there's no reason to stop and leave any information because I stole the car, and they crashed the car into a wall in Indian Harbor Beach. But their comment was, when asked about the crash, and let's see if I can get the quote here, that a brick wall pulled out in front of me. Detective Mensch was going to arrest an individual for multiple felonies, burglary to residence, grand theft, stealing stolen property, blah, blah, blah. Goes to the back of the house where they're on the porch talking. The suspect will not come out. The suspect and Corporal Mensch didn't realize at the time that the backup was going to be our K-9 officer. Well, the suspect decided that he could beat Detective Mensch in a race, so he takes off out the front. Detective Mensch takes off around. He starts chasing after him. Of course, this guy's got a good 75 feet, if not more, head start. And as he's running, he's looking to why is the backup not chasing him. The backup says, hang on a second. And he yells out, if you don't stop, I'm going to let the dog go. Well, the dog is barking. Stopped instantly, in his tracks. So that's the kind of stuff that you don't see, but that's the kind of value, because they get into a foot pursuit, and you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody's inevitably going to get hurt, and this all was completely prevented because that dog was there and ready if that person wasn't smart enough to stop. And the final arrest of interest was that one of our newest officers had made an arrest of 93 grams of marijuana. Well, he conducted a traffic stop. The person rolled the window down, just a basic traffic stop for a routine infraction. He rolled the window down, and the incredible odor of raw marijuana was so, even the most novice of people would go, wow, either there has been or is a large amount of marijuana in this vehicle. So we asked the person, is there any marijuana in this car? To which the driver says, yes, there is. So the stunned officer, of course, said, well, could you give it to me? So he hands him 93 grams of marijuana. So he says, sir, you're under arrest. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. And he crosses his arm and looks at him with what almost has to be described as a look of derision, and says, oh, I don't think so. I've got a prescription. So he handed him a medical marijuana prescription from Colorado and thought that was going to be just fine. So as he's being arrested, the officer says, just out of curiosity, a prescription for 93 grams, and he says, well, it was 6 months worth. So he unfortunately realized that that prescription was not valid here. Not yet. And, ma'am, that's all I have.
Okay. I just have a couple more things, Mayor, before we get started on the other
I just
agenda.
have, any questions for
Yes,
Chief?
ask a couple.
Yeah, hold on. Mark?
Chief, 2009, 2010, I know we kind of saw an uptick on domestic situations, officers getting, has that kind of leveled off, dropped off a little bit, or is it still about the same?
Well, it's leveled off, but it hasn't necessarily dropped. Really, there was that uptick, like you mentioned there, for a couple of years that is really unexplainable. Since it has dropped down significantly below those levels, unfortunately, as much as I hate to report it, it's the holidays are just, they're the worst, and that's when we always see an uptick, if you will, in that particular type of call. But no, it's leveled off, and it's lower than that time frame, but it's not going away. It's not getting, violent crime, that kind of thing is dropping significantly, and every year. Those, while they drop a little bit, are still, unfortunately, pretty consistent.
My second question I've got is, and this is not specific to Satellite Beach, it's kind of beachside, because I've spent a lot of time out here in these beachside communities, going to many houses. I'm kind of seeing living conditions inside some of the homes are kind of beginning to go south. There's just stuff in the house, and are you guys seeing that in Satellite Beach specific, that it's getting kind of ugly in some of these houses?
Yeah, I don't know that it's different now from then, but there are some situations that if I showed you pictures or described it to you, you would not believe me. You just wouldn't believe me that there's people that live like that. And we could point them out, and Satellite Beach, and every city has them. I don't know that it's gotten better or worse because of the economy or not, but they're absolutely there. And it's interesting because they're either immaculate or a complete mess. It's rarely in between.
From what I have seen, the ones that are a complete mess, they don't really want any help. It's
No,
not
they
like
don't.
They just want to leave me alone and move on. So
There's a lot more people that are hoarders, really, than I think people realize.
okay.
And that's sometimes the beginning of that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, sir. Any further questions?
Yeah, I just have a question, and someone joked about medical marijuana is coming. I think it probably is coming to Florida, Any thoughts into, local municipalities have to deal with the situation. Has the police department and the city manager discussed being proactive about when and if that happens?
We were.
Oh, absolutely.
We were discussing that with the mayor. We've been to the meetings in Cocoa Beach, and we've received all of their materials and information, and we will likely be programming that on the agenda for your discussions and with some recommendations on the zoning and things like that in July.
Yeah, I don't remember what event, but Sheriff Ivey was talking about, you think it just comes and it's very simple, but it's a very complex situation, particularly for the police department and the jurisdictional boundaries and the venues and things like that.
Just because you brought this up, and I'm going to go from memory, but I believe that I just got a legislative update from the lobbyist for the Florida Police Chiefs Association, and if I recall correctly, the bill now, I believe, has something in there where there's only going to be 4 distribution places in the state. They've actually limited it to 4. I had not heard that before. So unless I misunderstood or misheard, which, I guess is certainly possible, that's what I believe they're talking about, which would make a significant difference, because the way it sits now, it would have to be an all-cash situation, because it's not federal.
I
Federal
think
doesn't
they're
take
they're
check.
probably talking about the source, like a grow house.
Yes.
That's what they're talking about.
Yes.
The distribution, the actual places where people can go purchase them would be allowed anywhere. Unless we regulated it through
and-
zoning. Yeah.
That would be significant and could pose a problem, but if you have a situation in your city where they're able to grow that,
Yeah,
that would
right.
be a big problem too. So at least that's one less thing. But yes, we have been working on it. Cocoa Beach is also working on it, and I've been in touch with them.
I think most of the other cities are doing the same. They're all talking about their zoning, and a lot of them are looking at, similar to what we're looking at, is we have pain management clinic regulations and similar regulations to that.
Any further questions for Courtney?
We have,
Good job.
good job. We have a sports park football field expansion project. We put that out to bid. We did not receive any bids. So we are now working with Pavco, trying to get a price within our engineering estimate. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that project, and we're hoping that the next meeting will have an agenda item to approve the construction of that project. I wanted to let you know, I did go to the Economic Development Commission board meeting right before our meeting, and there are some updates. They did vote to appeal the clerk of court issue with the public records decision that was rendered. I think you probably saw it in the newspaper, so that they will be appealing that decision. That court case has cost the EDC $70,000 in legal fees, and will cost them probably an additional 25 to 30 in the appeal process. They do have a program called Made in Brevard, and I don't know if you get the Melbourne Chamber of Commerce's listserv emails, but one of the nice things about that is they did their first listserv email about Made in Brevard was lighting signs. So it was nice to see them highlighted in that program. I did learn today that the 100 acres out at, our 100 acres, everybody knows what that is under contract. Hunt Development have informed me today that they are working through their bondholders as well as the Air Force to sell that property to a market rate residential developer. So that will be forthcoming. They're under confidentiality, so they could not let me know what developer it is, but it moves slow because the Air Force is, it's just a long process to go through. So don't expect development tomorrow, but it's a slow process, but that is good news, that it's moving forward, and hopefully we'll see some development there in the next couple of years. And that is all I have today.
On the 100 acres, because I couldn't hear you. You said for housing?
A residential market rate, a
Okay.
private residential developer has that under contract. I did notify the school board, by the way, as well, so. And, I'm sorry. You have to give awards. I can't believe I almost forgot that. We held our annual reward ceremony, and we'd like to just give those out again, so you can learn of the accomplishments of these employees, as well as, and have the community listen and hear their accomplishments. The first, I'm going to come down there. The first award that we give out is the Volunteer of the Year, and she is not here tonight, that I can see. And this is, I'm sorry?
She's in Tampa.
She's in Tampa. So she did hold off her Tampa trip to come to the employee luncheon. And her name is Cynthia Singindong. She is a volunteer at City Hall. She was nominated multiple times for the Volunteer of the Year award because she comes in to answer our phones and do administrative tasks for us at the drop of a hat. And it's amazing that someone wants to come in and do something to me. That's not very exciting. But she does, and she's she's become part of our family in City Hall. And she's just invaluable. So she did receive the Volunteer of the Year award. If you come to City Hall and you hear her answer the phone, her name is Cynthia, tell her thank you for her volunteer efforts, because her work is costing you nothing and costing her time. The next one is the Part-Time Employee of the Year award, and this is this award is given to Sam Loracella. Now, we've done this already, so
Yeah, we did.
he's used to this. So, but Salvatore Sam Loracella, did I say that right? Loracella? Okay. This is the second time, so I got it right. Was nominated to the State of Florida School Crossing Guard of the Year for 2013. Due to Salvatore Sam's hard work and dedication, Surfside Elementary Wear Helmet program has increased 92% participation. Sam handles twice a day the four-way stop intersection for Surfside Elementary, and he knows all the children's names, siblings, dogs, and their parents. And I wave to him every day on my way to work. He holds himself to the highest standards that could ever be expected of a school crossing guard. So he was nominated, and I would like to just read this real quick, because we have to, we have to read
We
this.
gotta do that.
Yes. And then we have to do the photograph. Salvatore San Marcella, School Crossing Guard, presented in recognition of Sam's hard work and dedication while teaching the children in Satellite Beach the proper crossing techniques and for promoting the Wear a Helmet program, which has increased to 92% participation. Sam handles the four-way stop intersection twice a day for Surfside Elementary, and he knows all the school children's names, siblings, dogs, and parents. Sam holds himself to the highest standards that could ever be expected. Congratulations, presented by Courtney Barker, City Manager.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Like, there you go. See, now he's a seasoned veteran.
Yeah, now I'm a
He's
veteran.
good.
When this first happened, I was so astounded that I couldn't think of anything to say, but in thinking about it, the things that I'm being cited for are nothing more or less than any of the crossing guards do. I probably got the most kids to cross, God bless them. But this is something that I think all of us are very much dedicated to, the safety of the children. So I sort of see this as an award for all the school crossing. Thank you very much. The other thing I wanted to mention, if I could, is that I heard about the big truck event. I didn't hear anything about the Sampson Island open house, which happened a week ago this past Saturday. We had 155 people come out. It was probably one of the largest attendances that we've had since we've been having the open houses, and it was a terrific day. I just wanted to make sure the council was aware of that. Thank you very much.
And our Employee of the Year award is presented to Brad Hodge, our commander. And I have a lot to say about Brad Hodge. It's a really long thing that they gave me to read, and I'm going to just skim it this time. But did you know that Brad Hodge began his working relationship with the city of Satellite Beach as a volunteer firefighter? I did not know that. That kind of makes me chuckle, you know. And it's funny that there's mostly firefighters in the audience tonight.
We bonded, 1984.
And then he was a part-time employee for the Recreation Department in 1985. And he began his law enforcement career as a part-time dispatcher. And then he finally said, all right, I'm going to be a police officer in 1988. And he attended the Santa Fe Public Safety Institute in Gainesville, Florida, where he received his police certification. And he went on to achieve many, many things. I'm going to skip a couple things, though. And go to that he is a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. He holds a Florida Department of Law Enforcement Instructor Certificate and is a certified assessor and team leader for the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation. He is an active member of the Florida Police Chiefs Association, Brevard Police Chiefs Association, and the FBI National Academy Association. And during his time with the city, with the police department, Commander Hodge has received several awards, recognitions, and commendations to include, he's received the Satellite Beach Officer of the Year in 1992, Brevard County Officer of the Year in 1992, Satellite Beach Officer of the Year in 2000, City of Satellite Beach Employee of the Year 2006, Medal for Exceptional Duty, Unit Citation Award, Superior Performance Award, Community Service Award, and again, the City of Satellite Beach Employee of the Year this year. He is married to Jennifer, and he has two daughters, Miranda and Zoe. There's Jennifer right there. And he can be seen offshore fishing on his boat. And unfortunately for him, he's also at Gator sporting events at University of Florida. I learned that counts against him. It was really hard to pick him because of that. But I did it because of all the other stuff. But, so this is presented to... I know. This is presented to Brad M. Hodge, Commander, Police Department. From December 6, 2012 to April 14, 2013, Commander Brad Hodge was asked to be the acting police chief, and without missing a beat or hesitation, he fulfilled that role, and the department functioned business as usual. Commander Brad Hodge was also tasked with the entire RMS record management system project from start to finish, which included numerous presentations, ensuring that we were getting the best product, visiting other agencies, being the New World liaison, and having department personnel available to provide input and be trained with the least amount of impact on our daily operation. It is because of Commander Brad Hodge's diligence with this RMS project that we are under budget and are now live effective March 3rd, 2014. We sincerely appreciate the efforts and dedication that Commander Brad Hodge put forth to make these transitions go as smoothly and effectively as possible. Congratulations on a great year of major accomplishments.
Real quick, I just want to echo what Sam said, and I'm going to talk about it here in a minute when the chief and I go over the RMS project, but we have a great group that surrounds us at the police department, especially the upper management, and everybody that was instrumental in that project, and of course, when the chief was the acting city manager, always makes us look good, and so they really are deserving, as I am, if not more so. So I really appreciate their efforts, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we go forward. Thank you very much.
We have one more award that we wanted to give out, and this is an interesting award. It was nominated as an Employee of the Year award, and the situation in this nomination was just so amazing to me that I felt it needed to be addressed separately and by itself. The amount of courage and compassion that is in this story is so amazing that I can't do it because I'll start crying, and I don't like to cry in public. And so I'd like the chief to go ahead and present. Well, that's okay if you do.
Eric, come up here. And folks, as I tell this story, I'm going to do this off the top of my head. And we wish Eric's wife, Linda, could be here also, but she's ill, and she's very much a part of this story. December 21st, 2013, Eric and Linda Tippins were on their way home to their home in Vero Beach, and as they were traveling down the road at nighttime, they came across an intersection, and Eric saw a commotion going on, and there was a woman that was being viciously assaulted by two men in the attempt of a carjacking. Eric began beeping his horn, blinking lights, anything he can to distract the assailants from the attack that they were doing. As he got out of the vehicle to approach, one of the assailants, who was actually beating the woman with a shotgun, pointed the gun at her, pulled the trigger. The gun did not fire. Eric continued. She was continued to be beaten. The assailants left, and both Eric and Linda began providing care to the critically injured woman. When the law enforcement arrived on scene, Eric and Linda still had presence of mind, along with the victim, again, who was critically injured, to be able to give enough information that the assailants were arrested very quickly a little down the road. And as we tell the story, it goes a little bit further than this, because we hear this, he says, okay, we did this, and this is what happened, but the story really didn't stop there. Not only did Eric and his wife Linda provide this incredible service, I have to tell you, by all accounts, Eric and Linda most likely stopped the homicide. The intent was most likely to kill this woman. And they stayed with her. Most people would probably, driving down the road, they see something like this. What they would probably do is slow down, beat their horn, drive off and dial 911 and say some crap is happening on the side of the road and not be involved past them. Others might stop, maybe dial 911, but as soon as help gets there, drive away and go on to the rest of their day and the rest of their lives. The good news is Eric and Linda are not normal people. Eric and Linda. Funny how that sounded. Eric and Linda are Satellite Beach people, even if they live in Vero Beach, because I think that what happened next is absolutely astounding. They didn't just be with her for the care. They went with her and stayed with her through the entire process. This woman had to have reconstruction surgery, facial surgery, and by a plastic surgeon that Linda had used when she went through her double mastectomy and her reconstruction process. She stayed with this woman, not just from the incident that occurred, but all the way through it. There's been a couple newspaper articles written on it, and as I read it, and I literally got chills down my back as I was just reading the story, and what I realized was this: Eric and Linda saved her physical life, and I actually believe that Eric and Linda saved her emotional life also. And that
It's amazing.
She had 40 fractures.
you can read it.
Eric and Linda Tippins, in recognition of your heroic actions on December 21st, 2013, violent attack in progress, saving life, and providing care and support during the recovery process. Percy Hedgecock, the founder of Satellite Beach, said that God put us on earth to help mankind. Your actions exemplify those words and serve as an example for others.
Thank you. Yeah, she's got what's going around.
It's hard to top all these stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aside from all the amazing employees that we have, I have nothing else.
Thank you. Well, we do have amazing employees and incredible job by them, and we're lucky to have them. Thank you very much for the hard work you put out for us.
Thank your wife for us, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, she's-
Okay, moving on to Agenda Item 7, Police Department demonstration on the RMS system. Chief?
Did they see the agenda that we were going to talk about the RMS system? Because it's really cool. All right, anyway.
They already have their system.
Yes, they do. Very briefly, before Commander Hodge launches into it, I want to just real quick background, because I think probably everybody does, but I've always been taught that you don't jump into something without giving just a little bit of background so everybody understands where you're coming from. In 2006, one of the very first memos I ever wrote when I was promoted was to say to the chief that we need to upgrade our records management system. The records management system at the police department controls everything. It is all of the records. It is you drive around and you see police cars, they have the computers in there where they can run tags and driver's licenses, and you see these computer screens where they have little blips on a map where cars are so you can know who's where and who to send to what, and all those things, and some of the stuff that you see on TV and all that. Well, we had none of that. Absolutely none of it. And in 2006, I started what I'll call a campaign, for lack of a better word, to try to get there. Well, luckily and fortunately, the five of you, along with the city manager and the staff, saw fit to and understood the necessary the safety issues for the records management system, and you approved for us to purchase and to get into the 21st century. And it was a unanimous vote, and I cannot tell you again, and I said it then, thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is very briefly show you what you allowed us to buy and what it can do, because if I was you, I'd want to see where it went and what it does. And while I cannot begin to show you everything, nor would you want to sit here for hours and hours and see it all, Commander Hodge is just going to give you a quick basic demonstration. That way, if you have any questions, that'd be the time to ask. The man knows everything there is to know. As a matter of fact, I think he's been asked to go to work for the company, when he retires. I mean, honestly, and he's said to me more than once, I know more about records management systems than I've ever thought I would know or ever wanted to know. But fortunately for us, that's just the kind of person he is. And then afterwards, what I'd also like to do is we have the new police car out there that is fully ready. It's patrol ready with the camera, the new world, everything in it. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you all. We're very proud of it, and it is the way policing is supposed to be done in the 21st century. And I just want you to have the opportunity to take a look and see and touch and feel what it is that you fortunately allowed us to purchase. And with that, we'll have a quick demonstration.
Thank you. 2 hours is brief. Yeah. As Chief said, it's hard to believe that it was a year ago that we were sitting here, and now we're back full circle, and everything has been implemented, everything's up and running, with the exception of a couple things. We're phasing some things in to make sure the officers don't panic, but it's been a year since we started this project, and it went very smoothly. We had some temper tantrums, some threats to quit, some whining, and some kicking and screaming, but luckily my wife talked me through all those things, and I got up and went to work the next morning. So I'm just going to show you a couple of the basic features. What I'm seeing is on the screen behind me. What you're seeing is exactly what the patrol officers see in their vehicles every day now when they go to work. The significant difference between what we did and what we're doing is that none of this existed. Everything existed on the radio, and so to get a snapshot of where everyone was, especially for a supervisor at one time, is, well, I'd say priceless, but we all know what we paid for it. The other thing about the system is that it also provides real-time information directly from the dispatch center. Ironically enough, when I was on my way here this afternoon, I called dispatch and was talking to Beverly Ryan, one of our dispatchers, and she got a 911 hang-up call while she was on the phone with me. And she said, can you hold on one second, let me go ahead and dispatch this. And I heard her typing away, and I had my radio on, and I was listening to the radio, and she began to dispatch the call to Sergeant Eric Fuller, and he immediately said, it's already on my screen satellite, I'm on my way. It was on Hibiscus. And so before she was even able to key up the radio and tell him where the call was, he was seeing it in real time. And that's not just a benefit for us, of course, that's a benefit for the fire department as well, and bringing their times down and all those things. So as we go through the screen, you'll see basically, we can see that where each officer is, it's a snapshot of what the supervisors and what the officers see. We can see that officers are on dispatched alarms. We can see that the engines are available. Of course, it shows Commander Barrios here. But what we're going to do in a minute or two here is do just a demonstration of one call to show you how that call comes in and sort of just very briefly take you through the process, because now the officers go to the call, they clear the call, all the information is in their computer, they pull off to the side of the road, wherever that may be, they populate everything in their report, and they write it right there in the car, submit it to the supervisor in their car. The supervisor in their car gets that report, approves it, and sends it right to the station while everybody's in the field. And that's huge. And I know we talked about that a year ago, but that's probably the most important part about this, is everything is now done from the field. Just really quickly, as we go through this, there's some things here that may be worth noting. Some of the things that we require our officers to do, and we've talked about them in these meetings before, during various meetings and requirements, are school zone checks, business zone checks. All the things you see on this quick menu are the things that the chief has decided that these are the things we want to mandate to our officers every shift, whether it's a business check or a school zone check, a residential check, a bar check, beach access checks. And now all they have to do is very quickly bring this up, not when the car's moving, and click on a link, and it shows them where they're going to be for that period of time. He mentioned the reports earlier, and we can run up to 200 statistical reports now. God love Adam, because we drag him into the station, as most all the departments do, and say, we need a report for this. In our old system, they didn't do any of those reports, and if they did, they weren't nearly as detailed as we needed, so he'd have to write a special crystal report to extract information. Now we can get down to the day of week, the time of day, the day of month, when we most respond to calls to better send our manpower to where we need them to be. And that is the same case with the fire department as well. You look like you had something to say. If I can get out of there for a second. When we go to call monitor, it gives the supervisor an opportunity. They just click on one of these links here, and it gives the supervisor an opportunity to see where this person is and what they're doing. As I've mentioned, I believe Sergeant Fuller is on an alarm call, and I can bring that information up. This is coming in live, real time, right from the dispatch center, as I mentioned with that 911 call, and it sends out real-time narratives from the dispatcher. For instance, it was an alarm call, it was from the ATM, it shows when it was received, that the officer was available, and that no further details are available from the alarm company. That officer is on scene right now investigating. When he clears the call, he'll send back a narrative to the dispatcher, and they'll know it clears. Not everything is done silently. There's still plenty done on the radio. But because we share a channel and we share one dispatcher with the fire department, it becomes critical, because when our officers are doing things in the field and the fire department may be working a fire call or a heart attack, they can self-dispatch, and the dispatcher can see everything that they're doing, but they can also continue on with dispatching the fire call and paying attention to those resources that may be involved in some major event. Darren, you got that for do that. We're going to show you really quickly what a call looks like, just so you have an understanding of how it comes in. If I can get out of there. Yeah. And Darren's just calling dispatch to have them, essentially, they're going to send me a test call. Yeah.
Now, he picked up the phone, and he just got off the phone with dispatch. So you can see, as it starts to come through, what dispatch is doing. And what happens all the time when you're in a relatively small city is I've driven by addresses, made a turn, on my second turn, when I get a call, to the address where I just was. So I stop and I turn around and go back. You don't have that anymore. As you're seeing it happen, so you're heading that way before the dispatch even has to get on the radio. it increases response times, and the safety issue is significant. When everyone's busy, you can check and see if the tag is stolen, not having to wait for somebody to answer 3 phone calls, deal with the fire department, to find out if somebody that you're talking to is a wanted suspect or murderer or burglar or whatever they might be.
She is dealing with the alarm call at Wells Fargo. There's 2 officers on scene, so she's dealing with a little bit of traffic, so it may take her just a second.
I was going to say, hopefully we're not the 5th snowflake. Not now.
Kids do the thing they're supposed to when people are watching.
One of the things I'll show you real quickly while she's doing that, and it'll come up while I'm in the middle of other things, is our officers also get real-time information from anything that's occurred in our new records management system. So I'm in the middle of talking, I'm talking to one of my buddies, and now I just heard dispatch received. You can see that little toast, as we call it, that came up in the corner. It tells me what I've been dispatched to. It's a signal 38, which is a theft. All I have to do is click on that, and it lets me know the location immediately, which is the police department, because we have to delete this record. Looks like my wife is the reporting officer. It's been sent to me, and you can see as she's doing updates, it sends me that there's been updates. And this talks about the nature of the call. A stolen vehicle from the parking lot of the PD. We need to post somebody out there. It's been dispatched to me. I've already clicked on that, indicating that I've received it, so it noticed that I've received the call. I'm going to go on route, and then it talks a little bit about what the complainant's issue was as you're getting to the call. So parked the car in the parking lot, while inside the building, a silver Hyundai was taken.
This is all happening while the dispatcher's trying to get more information. So rather than get it all and have to stop and get some out and get some more and stop and get some out, this is just coming out. You're seeing this entire thing happen as they're getting more information, and it's almost like you're talking to the complainant. Almost.
Some of the neat things for statistical purposes that, is really neat for us is that in the past, officers had the ability to go in and kind of free-form information into our old system. They could put in 510 Cinnamon Street, and when we did statistical data, if we didn't run every possibility of every way they could have entered it in, and when you're talking about different last names, street names, you name it, we wouldn't get accurate stuff, and that's where poor Adam comes in.
And how many ways there are to enter State Road A1A, by the way? State Road, SR.
What this new system does now, it does what's called geo-verifying. You can see the 510 Cinnamon Drive is highlighted there. If I click on that, it's going to take me to the map, and then I can zoom in, and it's going to show me exactly where 510 Cinnamon Drive. If the dispatcher mistakenly typed a bad address in, or if you have a panicky victim that keeps saying, look, I'm telling you this is where I am, this mapping system will tell them something's wrong. You need to ask more questions because this information is not right. If they insist the information is right, what it will do is it will, if I can get out of here. What it will do is it will tell the officer the address is not right, but here's the closest intersection. So if we're responding to a prowler, and somebody's in their house freaking out, and I can't remember my address, and let's say they're on their cell phone and it's tracking, and we deal with all these things, because we know 911 landline is going to take us to the right address, but 60% of the people now don't have landlines? So it's tracking to an area. This system, when we enter it, will actually say, go to this address, and go to this intersection, go to this location, and you're going to be pretty close. So that's, like I said, we could go on and on and on about these things. So we're going to go ahead. You already said I was there. I can put myself as arrived. So the dispatch will be notified and updated that I've arrived on the call. And now let's just say I'm meeting with the beautiful Jennifer Hodge, whose car has been stolen, and now we're all in trouble. What the officer can do from this point is they can go in. And they can run the information on the vehicle. So again, where this comes down to, I heard somebody say it, efficiency, is that The officer is now pretty much doing the things that the dispatcher would normally be doing, but again, we're a 1 or 2 dispatch system. And so now they have the information right at their fingertips, and they've run this car, and it shows that it's currently not stolen until they complete the report, the type of car it is. Where this is important too is when they start doing the ticketing and accidents, once I run that one time, I don't have to run it again. If I click on write a ticket, it's going to fill out all that information. It's going to fill out all the information if the registered owner was the driver. And so these sequences go on and on and on. If I come out of this call and I go to the report writing call, the field reports, I can actually generate my police report here, like I said. And you'll see, this is again real time. These are real calls in here right now. 2 of them have been rejected. These are cases that are being waited to be seen by supervisors and either sent to records or sent back to the officers for mistakes. We have 2 cases, both arrests, that need some type of corrections before the supervisor will accept it and send it off to records. Again, and these guys know, for 8 hours when we did the training, I mean, each one of our officers got 8 hours of training on this, and they're still learning new things, but I could go on and on, but that kind of gives you an overview of how that flow of information happens instantly, the mapping, the location, the geo-verifying, and getting good information in and out of this system, and the statistics and all those things are going to be a great benefit, not just to patrol and the fire department, but the investigators who can search things by MOs now, and we can search by a tattoo, all those things. So it's really an unbelievable system, and as Chief mentioned, I don't think there's one person in the police department that wouldn't march in here and say thank you guys so much for your support from the beginning. It's really appreciated.
Thank you. Questions from council?
Chief, I know, or Brad, I know a year ago when we were talking about this, there was some thought or some movement towards the county going to this system, and they had not at that point. Any news, updates, or anything on that?
Yes, like I mentioned a year ago, us getting this system put it over 50% in the county.
Right.
And all of the people that have this system are, for lack of a better term, hammering the county. And they're going to put it out for RFP, and when it comes back, they got to go through the process, they got to go through the normal chain. But I will say that the county is very, very happy with it. It certainly would be something that they would like to do. The only thing I know is that, from what I understand, the sheriff has absolutely no problem with the system and would like to have it. He just has to go through the proper channels. So that's the first step, because if the person pulling the trigger isn't happy with it, doesn't like it, or whatever, then you might have a problem. So we're really hoping that is going to happen. It seems like that's the push, and then we're talking about it will be sometime in the future where this entire county will all be linked together. And when that happens, it's just anybody that gets contacted, anyone in the county, like Commander Hodge said, if you're looking for somebody, all the victim can say is they had a tattoo of a star above their eye. You can just search for any person that's ever been contacted anywhere on this system who's got that tattoo right now. You just couldn't do that. You just couldn't do that a few months ago, a year ago, that kind of thing. It's just invaluable for not only the citizens, but the safety of the officers. So.
One of the things I wanted to say real quickly is that a year ago we came in and said we were one of only 2 agencies in 3 surrounding counties that did not have this technology. And now we have the most up-to-date technology than any other agency in Central Florida. In fact, New World told us that they have to put some updates into Rockledge, the Port, Titusville, and Cocoa in order for us to link with them, because our version is so new. So we have the best stuff now.
When after the meeting, we'll go out you'll see the car, they parked it out there for you, and this is one of the newer cars, it's the Ford. You'll see how that vehicle has the safety components that work with this system, and it's great, particularly, as a manager. I mean, I think the black stripe across the chief's badge right now is for the officer in Windermere, correct? Who was shot, and we just had the verdict with Deputy Pill, and that's just a stark reminder of their dangers that they face every time they walk up to a car. So these things are important for us to do to make sure that we keep them safe and reduce those types of incidents. So when you see that car, you'll see how those systems work together. It's really neat.
Mark, question?
Do we know where Indian Harbor Beach is with this type of thing?
Indian Harbor Beach is done on the same timber run with the county, so Indian Harbor Beach doesn't really have a choice. Unless they wanted to venture out and do their own thing. The reason we couldn't do it is because they were maxed out. It was an old system that was maxed out, or we would have tried to do that a long time ago. So I suspect, I can't speak for them, but I suspect that they will probably continue with the same path, which is whatever the county gets, they'll jump on that license and say, can we do that too?
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Well, I just want to say I'm really happy for you all. I think I was joking, I don't remember who I was joking with, it might have been Frosty a couple years ago. I had a little streak of bad luck, and I had a little fender bender in Daytona Beach, and boom, they came, swiped everybody's license, done, out of there in 5 minutes. Had a little fender bender in front of my house. A couple weeks later, poor guy's writing a ticket. I went and made a sandwich, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy for you.
You're absolutely right, and now it's swipe it in,
Yeah.
print it out, done, and it's all instantly there, and
Yeah, so
transferred right to the state electronically.
And it really, everything gets cleared off the road faster, makes it safer for everybody, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? At this time, open up for a public comment on this issue.
Gail Abrams, citizen, efficiency. You guys rock. You're becoming efficient. That's really important. When you pull up this information, does it tell you if someone's got a warrant or convicted felon or any of that type of information?
100%, yes.
Okay. And are you linked within the entire state or just our county?
Within the country.
The country?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Floor is still open for the agenda item 7. Hearing no further public comment, close the public portion of it. Chief, thank you guys very, very much. Great job. Appreciate it. And again, agenda item 8 is postponed till the next council meeting. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 9, discuss take action on resolution 948. Jim?
Resolution number 948, a resolution of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, adopting a complete streets policy, providing for repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions, providing severability, and an effective date. So reading of resolution number 948.
Thank you.
Mr.
Public
Mayor.
comments.
Mr. Mayor, hang on.
Sorry.
Hang on just a moment.
We passed out a revised version.
Read this title.
Okay. Resolution number 948, a resolution of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, adopting complete streets policy and guiding principles and providing for repeal of prior inconsistent resolutions, severability, and an effective date. Resolution number 948.
We apologize. We passed out some edited versions of the resolution in the first attachment.
Move to adopt resolution 9, the revised resolution 948.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Gott, second by Councilman Breimer on resolution 948. Council comments.
Yeah, I do have some comments. I had an opportunity to speak with Georgiana, I think Jillian from the Space Coast TPO. I'm sorry, is the mic on? I had an opportunity to speak with Georgiana, I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name, Jillian.
Anna Gillette.
Yeah, Gillette, and she sent some information to you today, or yesterday, to both of us.
Yes.
Regarding complete streets. And I would really like her to come in and do a presentation so that there's a better understanding of what a complete street is. It was very, very interesting to talk to her. Most of the jurisdictions in this area adopted resolutions or put a policy in place back in 2000, I think it was 2009. I don't have my notes with me. Because the people in Brevard County didn't just want their streets widened continually. They wanted to see complete street projects with medians and landscaping and refuge for pedestrians and landscaping and things like that to slow traffic. But what I thought was interesting, and there's reference to this, and I think it needs to probably be discussed before we move forward, is A1A is not a complete street, is not designated as a complete street per the TPO. The only street in Satellite Beach that's designated as a complete street is Cassia. So I think there's some questions that need to be answered before we move forward with doing this. I have no problem with it becoming a policy in the comp plan or a policy, but I'm not sure why we're doing a resolution, because their strategy has already been adopted.
Do you want me to answer that? The cities partnered with the TPO to create the Complete Streets program in the county in 2009, and began creating resolutions. So all the cities adopted a resolution that wanted to participate in the program, as well as the county, and it's similar to the one that we're providing to you. In addition to that resolution, the cities adopted policies in their comprehensive plans, and then if you look at the attachments, attachment B, you will see what the policies and procedures were to submit a complete street project for funding. It doesn't mean, just because it's not on that list, doesn't mean that it's not a complete street project. It's just that the city of Satellite Beach apparently submitted Cassia as a complete street project, hoping to get it funded through that program. Unfortunately, you can't get funded through the complete street projects unless you have a complete street resolution, a complete street policy, and complete street comp plan amendments. So the funding right now is wrapped up already. So the projects that were chosen, I know because I worked on the Titusville projects, we submitted Garden Street, Hopkins, and that's those two streets. And Hopkins was chosen as a complete street project, in addition to, I think, 3 streets in Cocoa and so on. So those funds until 2017 are wrapped up. And after that, those funds will become available again. Now, our A1A project is incredibly long-term, so we're not going to get that entire project done in 1 year. We're going to get it done over a period of years. So having a complete street policy and comprehensive plan, and policies in our comprehensive plan will assist us in getting those funds later. So what we're also, in addition to that funding scenario, when we had the SNAP workshop, we went over this. I gave a presentation on the complete streets. I give presentations on complete streets a lot, and provide presentations and seminars and things like that. So we provided a presentation to you on what a complete street was, why we should adopt that as a citywide policy, just from a need standpoint. In addition to funding, we were recommending to adopt that because it's just the right thing to do. And overall, whenever we develop a road, that we should look at all users and not just the automobile. So that's the genesis behind this resolution.
But I still would like her to come in and do a presentation from the TPO standpoint regarding the program, because she advised me yesterday that A1A would never be considered for a complete street project because of the width of the roadway and the speed. So I would just like to have a presentation done by her so we can ask her questions directly on the project, on complete streets.
We also have other streets, though, just to let you know. I mean, we have Jackson, DeSoto, all of those would qualify under this program because they're collector roadways.
But right now, and I think she sent the map, the only street in Satellite that has the designation is Cassia. And I actually asked for that information to be printed today because I couldn't download it and print it.
The Cassia project does not have a complete street designation. The Cassia project was submitted by the city of Satellite Beach to be funded by the Complete Streets program. That's all that list is a list of projects that were submitted to the TPO for complete streets. So we can make any of our streets complete streets. It doesn't, if we want to get it funded by the TPO, there's certain criteria.
Okay.
Further questions from council?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, I open it up for public hearing on agenda item 9.
Dale Abrams, citizen. I think it would be great to have TPO come in because I spent some time on the computer looking at this program, and they've got some really nice graphics and other things for people to see. So it's something definitely to think about. According to this document, City of Satellite Beach, under multimodal support of future land use areas, we have got listed a town center mixed use, which was mapped in-house from the CRA annual report map. I don't know if anybody's aware of that. And I'm assuming that they're talking about the 100 acres, but that might be changing in the future. The other thing is, we have matching funds for this, and that's in this document. They talk about matching funds. So anything that we decide to do in the future, we have to come up with the matching funds. You know, I think this is a great idea. A lot of the communities are doing it. For those of you who haven't looked at this on the website, there's a great picture of Minuteman Causeway, and it shows what it looks like now and what it would look like in the future, and it's really nice. So, you know, maybe having a PowerPoint presentation for the citizens would be a good idea, because then they can actually see what this is truly all about. I mean, I think that this is a positive idea, but, you know, if you want to pitch this, get some graphics up there and let people see what's going on, and show them the maps and show them the pictures before and after.
With all due respect, we did that at the SNAP workshop. We had a presentation of this complete.
Was that done by
program.
TPO?
No, it was done by me using their presentation.
Oh.
So they can come in and use that exact same PowerPoint and give you the exact same presentation I did, but we already did that at the SNAP workshop.
Okay, all right. Well, what is this in here regarding the town center mixed use that we have listed in this document about Satellite Beach?
I don't know what Satellite Beach submitted during those years I was not here, so I can call and ask them what that is, but I wasn't here.
And that's not going to apply going forward, is it?
There's criteria that the TPO used to figure out, because there's a competition of funds. So multiple cities submitted 2 or 3 TPO, projects that they wanted funded through the Complete Street Project or program, and there's a limited amount of funds. So to choose which streets they were going to do, they created a kind of like a rating system. And I know
Yes.
that the downtown mixed-use areas was one of those rating systems. So if you had a roadway that went through one of those areas, you got a better rating
Yes.
in that, yes.
I read that.
Right.
I read that through this document. The other thing is, it says here redevelopment areas. It's got
Yes.
Satellite
So
Beach,
CRA.
CRA, and then it's got mapped in-house from city CRA district map. So
So redevelopment areas and, like community development block grant areas, those areas were also considered high in terms of priority of roadways that went through those areas were considered high priority.
So if we would have acted on this back in 2009, we may have received more funding for Cassia, which would have maybe given us additional amenities to Cassia?
Probably. It depends on whether they chose it or not. So.
And that was back in 2009?
Yes, ma'am. So I can look in to find out what happened, and I'll be glad to do that, but I wasn't here, so I don't know. I wasn't looking at the past either. I was just kind of looking at, okay, in 2017, they're going to have another round of funding, so let's be prepared, and let's also start planning all of our road projects from a Complete Streets perspective.
Thank you. Further public comment on this agenda item? Hearing none, closes that portion. Back to council. We have a motion on the floor.
I have just a few additional comments. I'm all about complete streets, and I just think it was ironic, and I know you weren't here in the past, that Cassia was listed as a complete street, which means making it pedestrian-friendly, making it not just for vehicles, but yet when I recommended putting in landscaping and putting in banners to make it more walkable, this council voted that down, and I'm disappointed in that, because when I recommended, it gets snuffed, but yet now we're passing a resolution to make our streets complete streets. So that's what it's all about, and there were some wonderful graphics on the webpage that talk about some of these things, and it could have been done with Cassia, where we could have had, concrete pads put in when it was under construction, so that benches and trash cans could have put in. There could have been some wonderful taller palm trees to allow our crossing guard to have some shade out there, and some banners to make it more walkable, yet it just wasn't going to happen. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Further comment? From council?
No.
Or no? Lenore?
Councilwoman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, staff. Okay, moving on to agenda item 10, and before we send it to Jim, discuss, take action on resolution 949. It's my recommendation that we postpone that one also, because we just got a pretty good package of information here that is new, that was at our table, at the dais up here today.
To give you the background, that was the request for the resolution was sent to us. We put it on your agenda, and subsequent to that, I had asked them for the statute preempting the shopping bags, and then I asked them for the actual legislation that Surfrider Foundation was submitting to the legislature. So we got that after your agenda was published. So to give you some time to look at that if you want to postpone.
Okay with council?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 11. Agenda items for the next regular meeting. Courtney?
In addition to the items you've postponed, we will also have the budget, mid-year budget amendment presented to you. We've been meeting with you individually on that, so you should be prepared for that by the time we get there.
Okay, thank you. Any further agenda items, please make sure you're putting enough time so it gets on and the information is available. Okay? Moving on to agenda item 12, appointments to boards. And this is also the portion that we have on the attendance that we asked to be put on.
Would you like me to make a recommendation real quick? I've discussed this with some of you. Councilwoman Gott, or Vice Mayor Gott, has a board member handbook drafted, and we could use that and also put in some attendance requirements that I'm aware of from cities I've either worked in or know of, and we could come back to you with a draft document by the first meeting in June, if that would be appropriate for you, to deal with everything. So the board members would understand, their roles as a board member. Each board would have that outline, and then also the expectations of attendance, and we'll have a recommendation in there of a standard. And just to give you an idea, where I came from before here, the requirement was you could not miss more than 3 meetings in a row or 50% in a 6-month period. And the process would be, if that was occurring, the chair of the board would then write a letter to the city council to ask them to either remove them as a board or replace them. So that was the process. So the boards kind of manage their own issues in that respect. And then, of course, the staff would keep track of that to help them out. So that was one of the ideas, and we'll be glad to look at some others if that's not something that you want to pursue.
Discussion from council.
Yes. This handbook will be very extensive. It will have a general section of provisions that apply generally to all the boards, and then it will have each board broken down with the specific requirements of those. It will cite applicable Florida statutes as well as city code provisions that apply to those boards. It will basically be any question you could want to ask about serving on a board will be in that handbook.
Right.
So I just have a question. Why is the council person preparing a handbook?
Because this council person knows how to write.
Well, all of you participate in some way, that you all have your own strengths, and so a lot of times, like Vice Mayor Gott will help us with editing and things like that, and so she's volunteered to create this handbook, and she's almost done with it. So I felt that it was a good way to add in the criteria for the absenteeism that you've been talking about, and just go ahead and get that approved. We have, as staff members, been talking about the need to meet with board members when they get appointed, to talk to them about their, what's expected of them, the types of things they need. Here's your staff liaison and things like that. Here's when you're going to get your agendas, those types of meetings. So this would give us a way to hold those meetings. So I don't think it's unusual for Vice Mayor Gott to do that. All of you have your strengths in how you work as a council member. That's hers.
I think it's important that we get this to the table. Now, if Councilwoman Gott does that and brings it to the council, again, it's us to vote for it, change it, or whatever way we feel is appropriate, we take the vote. And if someone's willing to take that step to bring us something to look at, I don't have a problem with them bringing it here. Again, it's up to us at the end to vote for it, put in our inputs into it, and get it done. I talked to Courtney a lot on this in the last week and a half, and I think it's important. If we have people who expect a board to have that meeting, and they're depending on it, that meeting, they're owed that meeting. And I don't want to arbitrarily throw numbers out. I want to make sure that this works in a professional way so that when SNAP comes in and so forth, that this project it works. And I understand people are donating their time, but I also think that we have to make sure that these boards have meetings. And there's some rules and
You're looking at
regulations.
me, we're on the same page.
Right. So again, all I'm
But
saying is it's going to come to
I
us.
just find it peculiar that a person that is writing the handbook is voting on the handbook, so obviously they have.
But you can
It's not
write-
any different than you
You
writing
can
the
put your
plan.
input into, we all can, and hopefully that's what happens, is that each of us put our input in and make this work. To be honest with you, I really don't care who does it, as long as it gets done in a way that works for the city. And this is going to come to the first meeting in June, is what our shooting.
That would be the deadline,
Okay?
because I like to have deadlines.
Okay. And then, again, hopefully we work on it as a group. Mark?
Lorraine, I just want to thank you for taking this on. I mean, I know the quality of work you do from the years with the grant writers, and I know that this is your passion to do this stuff. So if nothing else, it gives us a template to work off of, and you've always been willing to accept our thoughts or criticisms of your work up to a point. But no, I think it's nice you're bringing this forward. So, Mr. Mayor, I support this.
I do.
in its
I know
entirety.
quite a number of years back, we had a discussion on this, and we always said that we wanted to make sure when someone got on the board, you can hand them some reference material, and they will know everything they need to know. So hopefully it happens, and so I think it's a good day, and
Yeah, but going back to that, because there's nothing, for example, when you help the citizens draw out that plan, that's the same thing. So all of you do that. All of you are working council members. So, just, even though it'll come back for a vote, you all will have a say in it, and staff will have a considerable amount of say in it, in making sure that it says what we think it needs to be in there.
And this didn't happen recently. This is a discussion that's been going on, because I know you had this discussion with Barbara, when Barbara was the city clerk, about doing this, and you've been working on this for a while. It's not going to be something that just popped out in 2 months. It's been a document that's been worked on by you for a while. So I echo Mark's comments. I appreciate, what you're doing. I know the time and effort that you put into these things when you do them, so I'm fine with what's going on.
Consensus from council? Okay, Courtney, direction?
Is that good?
That's good.
Everybody's fine with that?
Yep.
So we have a deadline.
Yep. Okay, moving on to appointments.
Move to appoint Barbara Stasko reappoint Barbara Stasko to the library board.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Gott, second by Councilman Montanaro. Discussion? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Barbara is reappointed to the library board. Okay, we have board adjustment here.
I'll make a
Excuse me,
motion.
CRA.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Philip Welsh to the alternate member, from the alternate member to the regular member, term ending 3/6/2015.
I I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion. CRA Advisory Committee.
Correct.
Any further discussion, okay? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Next, P and Z.
What happened to Trevor?
Yeah.
I heard he got a job opportunity that
Yeah.
makes him travel a lot and will be out of town.
Believe he
No
moved.
issue, yes. Not an issue for here. Sal resigned from the board. I believe he moved out of the
city.
Moved out
town.
of the city, yeah. Well,
I'll make a motion to appoint Sissy Packard from an alternate member to a regular member of the P and Z, term ending 3/21/15.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion from council? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. We still have some board vacancies that we need to get filled, and I think we need to work on that. Courtney, is that something, maybe the next Beachcast or two, that could be a
Good
little...
idea. Yeah, I'll put it on Facebook, too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 13, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 19th special meeting minutes as submitted, and the March 19th workshop meeting as submitted, and the March 19th regular meeting as submitted.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Montanaro, a second. Second by Vice Mayor Gott to approve the minutes. Discussion? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Any further business before council?
No, sir.
Hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Nothing.